The Scout Association, which also uses the name Scouts UK, is the largest Scout organization in the United Kingdom. It's the world organization of the Scout movement's recognized member for the United Kingdom. Following the origins of the Scout movement in 1907, the Scout Association was formed in 1910 and incorporated in 1912 by a royal charter under its previous name of the Boy Scouts Association. The organization is the largest national Scout organization in Europe, representing 35% of the membership of the European Scout region. As of 2021, the organization claimed to provide activities to 362,752 young people, aged 4 to 25, in the UK, with over 141,659 adults leaders, which is more than one adult for each 2.5 children. This represents a significant 22% decline from 464,700 young adults in 2018, despite commencing a program for even younger children. Its programs now include Squirrels, aged 4 to 6, Beavers, aged 6 to 8, Cubs, aged 8, 10 plus 1 to, Scouts, aged 10 plus 1 to, 14, Explorer Scouts, aged 14 to 18, and Adult Network members, aged 18 to 25. The organization's current aim is to provide fun, adventure, and skills for life and give young people the opportunity to enjoy new adventures, experience outdoors, and take part in a range of creative, community and international activities, interact with others, make new friends, gain confidence, and have the opportunity to reach their full potential. Admission practices. Gender. From 1912 to 1967, the organization was called the Boy Scouts Association, and until 1976 only boys were admitted to its programs. In 1910, Baden-Powell created an entirely separate organization with a different name, the Girl Guides for Girls. From December 1916, following the introduction of the organization's Wolf Cubs program for 8 to 10-year-olds, in which Vera Barkley played a pivotal role, the organization permitted women to take on limited volunteer roles, working with the younger boys. In 1976, girls were allowed to join the organization's Venture Scouts for 16 to 20-year-olds. In 1991, the admission of girls to all the organization's programs became optional. Since 2007, this has been compulsory. As of 2018, girls made up 71% of all new members, with approximately 2.5 girls for every boy. Girls also made up 27% of all the organization's participants, with a total of 99,989 female participants, aged between 6 and 25. 69,460 adult women were involved in volunteer roles, being more than one adult female for every 2 female young people. The organization's programs are open to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and other, LGBTQ+, young people and adults. Religion. The organization's programs are open to those of any religion or without a faith. There are variations of the organization's Scout promise to accommodate all religions or beliefs. While originally requiring a promise of duty to God, following criticism, in October 2013, the organization announced that an alternative version of the promise would be available from January 2014 to admit those without a pronounced faith. Disability. The organization is open to all abilities. Flexibility is built into badge and award requirements for those with special needs. Some counties and areas have a specialist commissioner or advisor to support inclusion. Robert Baden-Powell was keen to allow young people with disabilities to take part in Scouting. The disabled branch, later called Extension Scouting, was formed in 1926. However, in more recent years, emphasis has been placed on integrating young people with disabilities into mainstream groups. After the Second World War, specialist Agunari camps were run to cater for those unable to camp with their own Scout groups, with some still running today. For the origins of Boy Scouts and the Scout movement, before the formation of the Scout Association, see Scouting. The organization was formed in 1910, in order to provide a national body in the United Kingdom which could organize and support the rapidly growing number of scout patrols and troops, which had already formed spontaneously following the publication of Scouting for Boys and the Scout magazine in 1908. It was also the wish of Robert Baden-Powell to separate control of the Scout movement from his book's publisher. It was felt it was not given the status it deserved, as the publisher C. Arthur Pearson controlled much of Scouts. The organization grew and spread to much of the British Empire. In 1910, the organization approved special uniforms for Sea Scouts and formally adopted use of the name in 1912. On January 4, 1912, the organization was incorporated throughout the British Empire by royal charter for the purpose of instructing boys of all classes in the principles of discipline, loyalty and good citizenship. The organization's program was originally just for boys aged between 11 and 18. However, many girls and younger boys wanted to join in. In 1910, a separate organization, the Girl Guides, were created by Baden-Powell and his sister, Agnes, to provide a more proper program of activities. In 1916, the organization launched its Wolf Cubs, for boys aged 8 to 11. In 1918, the organization launched its Rovers for those over 18 who had grown out of being Scouts but wanted to remain connected. During the First World War, more than 50,000 Scouts participated in some form of war work on the home front. Scout buglers sounded the all-clear after air raids or airstrike, others helped in hospitals and made up aid parcels. Sea Scouts assisted the Coast Guard in watching the vulnerable East Coast. In 1920, the organization organized the first World Jamboree, held in Olympia, London, together with an international conference for leaders which led to the formation, in 1922, of the International Conference of the Boy Scout Movement, now called the World Organization of the Scout Movement, of which the organization was a founding member. The Boy Scouts Headquarters Gazette was first published in July 1909, as a publication for adult scouters and administrators, alongside The Scout, a magazine for youths which had been launched in April 1908. In 1929, the organization hosted the Third World Scout Jamboree at Arrow Park in Cheshire. Some 56,000 scouts from 35 countries attended, making it the largest World Scout Jamboree to date. The first gang show, produced by Ralph Reeder, opened at the Scala Theatre in London in October 1932. Following the outbreak of World War II, over 50,000 scouts trained under the National War Service Scheme. Tasks undertaken included police messengers and stretcher bearers. In January 1941, the organization launched its Air Scout branch, allowing scout troops to specialize in activities related to aircraft and flying. Baden-Powell, as the organization's chief scout and chairman, continued to head and guide the organization, going on world tours throughout the rest of his life until ill health caused him to retire to Kenya in 1938, where he died on January 8, 1941. He was succeeded as the organization's chief scout by Lord Somers. Starting in 1944, the Scout International Relief Service, SIRS, sent teams of rovers and scouters to continental Europe to provide humanitarian aid. 10 SIRS teams worked at the recently relieved Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. After years of trial schemes, in 1946, the organization launched its Senior Scout program for Boy Scouts aged 15 to 18 years to form separate patrols or troops, with age-appropriate activities and badges. Scouts were prominent in their support of the 1948 Summer Olympics, playing leading roles in the open and closing ceremonies at Wembley Stadium and the sailing events at Torbay. The first Bob a Job Week took place in April 1949, in which Scouts did small tasks for the public in return for a bob, colloquial name for the shilling coin, 5 new pence, to raise funds for the organization and for C. Arthur Pearson's Fund for the Blind. Over the organization's history, some boys had been challenged to justify their enrollment because of their own or even their parents' religious or political beliefs. In the early 1950s, some Boy Scouts were dismissed or marginalized in their scout groups due to their involvement with the Young Communist League or related communist activities, the most high-profile case being that of Paul Garland from Bristol in 1954, which resulted in media reports and a debate in the House of Lords where the organization's chief scout, Lord Rowland, defended the organization's political and religious discrimination based on foreign communist regimes' antipathy to Scout organizations and the organization's policy and Scout promise requiring adherence to an organized religion and not accepting atheists. The matter was withdrawn without a division, and it took 60 more years for the organization to change its discriminatory policy and accept atheists. In 1957, to commemorate 50 years of Scouting and the centenary of Baden-Powell's birth, the organization hosted the 9th World Scout Jamboree, which took place at Sutton Park in Birmingham. The organization's programs went largely unchanged until it underwent a major review in the 1960s. The Chief Scouts Advance Party was formed in 1964 and was sent to survey the organization to see why participation was falling. Their report was published in 1966 and changes were implemented later that year and throughout 1967. As a result, the word boy was dropped from the organization's name, which was changed to the Scout Association, and major changes were made to the age sections and their respective programs. The youngest section were now named Cubs. The Boy Scout section was renamed simply as the Scout section, and the Senior Scouts and Rovers sections were replaced with Venture Scouts for 16 to 20-year-olds. The uniform were also changed with the inclusion of optional long trousers, as opposed to the compulsory wearing of shorts, and the wearing of a beret instead of the campaign hat. The Advance Party report was not welcomed by all involved, and a rival report, a Boy Scout black paper, was produced in 1970 by the Scout Action Group. This provided alternative proposals for the development of the organization and asked for groups that wished to continue to follow Baden-Powell's original scheme to be permitted to do so. The rejection of these proposals resulted in the formation of the Baden-Powell Scouts Association. Several developments were made over the following years, including the admission of girls, initially restricted to the Venture Scouts section in 1976, but from 1991 junior sections were allowed to become mixed as well, starting in Bradford, West Yorkshire, and working its way throughout the UK. Parents of children involved with the organisation in Northern Ireland also began to organise activities for children who were too young for Cubs. Initially, only the leaders of these activities, nicknamed Beavers, were registered and organization officials, with the children participating not being enrolled by the organization until it formally adopted the program in 1986. In the late 1990s, a Muslim Scout Fellowship was formed, which by the end of 2007, had assisted the establishment of 13 Muslim Scout groups in England and Wales. Despite these and other changes, the organization's enrollments fell into a decline through the 1990s. This spurred a major review into the causes of the decline in 1999. The organization found itself competing for young people's time against many other extracurricular activities and schools themselves, which were increasingly venturing into the same types of activities. In addition, adult leaders became concerned with the growing litigation culture in the UK and the negative stereotype as being old-fashioned. To keep up with trends and appeal to audience new generation, a new uniform, designed by Meg Andrew, was launched in 2001. The uniform included a variety of bold colors, with the younger sections wearing sweatshirts and activity trousers. In 2002 the organization launched its new vision towards 2012, which heralded another period of change. The Venture Scouts program was discontinued and two new sections were introduced, Scout Network for 18 to 25-year-olds, as well as Explorer Scouts for 14 to 18-year-olds. A new program was introduced, complete with a new range of badges and awards covering a wider variety of topics such as public relations and information technology, developing practical and employability skills. The new badges drew mixed reactions from several public figures, with some praising the organization for moving with the times and others feeling the changes went against the scouting ethos of Baden-Powell. Further changes took place in 2003 when the organization's adult training scheme was relaunched to be more focused and targeted to the volunteer's individual role as opposed to the more general training received before. The organization also began to change in its focus, with a renewed emphasis on outdoor adventure, and it now offers over 200 fun and adventurous activities from obseiling and archery, while also offering a wider range of development opportunities, from coding to music and drama. In 2004 the organization appointed television presenter Peter Duncan as its chief scout, who was succeeded by adventurer Bear Grylls in July 2009. The organization appointed its first UK chief commissioner, Wayne Bulpitt, on the same day, with a particular remit to support volunteers, grow and develop the organization. The organization hosted several major events during this time, including Eurojam in 2005, hosting 10,000 scouts and guides from 40 countries, the 21st World Scout Jamboree in 2007, as well as playing a major role in the centenary celebrations of Scouting that same year, with celebration events organized on Brownsea Island. By 2010, census figures showed a strong upturn, with the organization claiming its highest rate of growth in UK since 1972, with total claimed participation reaching just under 500,000. In 2014, the organization claimed an increase in youth enrollments of 100,000 in the 10 years since 2004. In 2016 it claimed 11 years of consecutive growth and an increase in female enrollment, with 25% of participants now female in the 25 years since girls were first welcomed in 1976. The organization claims one of its biggest challenges is encouraging more adults to volunteer to reduce the number of young people on waiting lists, cited at around 40,000. However, by its reported figures, above, it has a high ratio of more than one adult volunteer to 4 participant young people, see above, and young people includes adults aged 18 to 25. The effort to attract new volunteers received a boost when the Duchess of Cambridge announced her intention to become a volunteer leader for the organization with a scout group near her Anglesey home. In the decade up to 2014, the number of adult volunteers increased by 14,596 to a total of over 104,000. A new strategic plan entitled Scouting for All was launched in 2014 to outline the organization's focus to 2018. It proposed 4 key areas of activity: growth, inclusivity, youth-shaped scouting, and community impact. As part of this, in 2014, the organization introduced the role of its National Youth Commissioner. The organization's National Youth Commissioner works with its national leadership team, its chief executive, its chief scout, its chief commissioner and its chair of the board of trustees, to contribute to discussions on behalf of youths and ensuring key changes are subject to youth consultation. Counties and district units were encouraged to appoint their own youth commissioners for young people to have an opportunity to influence their activities. In October 2015, as part of the commitment to developing community impact, the organization launched a 3-year community impact project called A Million Hands to mobilize 500,000 scouts to support 4 social issues chosen by their young people. Its aim is to build real and lasting relationships in communities that will enable young people to continue taking social action long into the future. The project works in partnership with 6 key charities: Mind, Alzheimer's Society, Leonard Cheshire Disability, Guide Dogs, WaterAid, and Canal and River Trust to support the 4 key issues of dementia, disability, mental well-being and resilience, and clean water and sanitation. Also in 2015, Dr. Anne Lim was appointed chair of the organization, the first woman to hold the post. 54 already Commander of the Order of the British Empire, CBE, Lim was appointed Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, DBE, in the 2022 birthday honours for services to young people and philanthropy. In September 2016, Tim Kidd replaced Wayne Bulpitt as the organization's chief commissioner. Kidd has been involved with the organization his whole life, starting as a cub and then as a volunteer, in various leadership roles including scout leader, district commissioner, and county commissioner. In the 2016 birthday honours, Kidd received an OBE for services to young people. Kidd's term will end in September 2021, with applications open for a replacement in September 2020. Throughout 2016, the organization celebrated the centenary of its Cubs section, named Cubs 100. The centenary celebrations marked the launch of the fully developed Wolf Cub program on December 16, 2016, a date which is regarded as the official birthday of Cubs. Adventurer Steve Backshall was appointed Cubs 100 ambassador to raise the profile of the anniversary year. A range of events took place throughout 2016, from adventure camps to locally organized promise parties on December 16 itself, at which Cubs renewed their promises. One promise party in Kings Lynn was attended by the Duchess of Cambridge. In May 2018, the organization announced a new Skills for Life strategy as its focus to 2023. Its objectives are similar, with the same outcomes of growth, inclusivity, youth-shaped scouting and community impact. However, there is now more of a framework to develop and achieve the objectives alongside the new strategy launch. The organization launched new branding to support the strategy and changed the then 17-year-old logo. The major changes included a new typeface for documents and literature from the organization, new colors with an updated corporate logo. This was introduced to the organization on a 2-year transition period. As a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, in March 2020, the organization's face-to-face activities were suspended and weekly meetings had to be delivered through Zoom. To support this, the organization launched an online package of activities called The Great Indoors and a national fundraising campaign called Hike to the Moon in aid of those affected by the crisis, as well as online briefings for adult leaders. Despite these initiatives, in May 2021 it was announced that enrollment numbers had fallen by over 100,000, from 480,083 to 362,752, with the number of adult leaders falling from 156,000 in 2020 to just under 141,000. This was reported to be the largest drop in numbers since 1941. 67 It prompted the organization to launch the Good For You campaign, which had an aim of recruiting 10,000 leaders, as the organization had noticed young people were returning to the organization quickly but without sufficient adults to build capacity. Announced as part of the Skills for Life strategic plan in May 2018, from 2019 the organization trialed an early years program section. The name initially chosen for the pilots, involving children aged 4 to 6 years, was Hedgehogs, and involved a program funded by the Department for Education and delivered either as an organization-led program, a parent-led program, or a partner-led early years program. The aim of the pilot was to explore early years provision with children of this age and determine whether this is a route the organization should take. The organization decided to proceed with the pilot and the phased rollout of the section over a period of years until it was in a position to introduce the section formally, now under the name Squirrels, in September 2021. The name was chosen after field testing in communities underrepresented in the organization's programs, and because of the support of the Northern Ireland Squirrel Association that subsequently merged into the organization after 25 years of independent operation alongside the organization in Northern Ireland. The name is also recognized by many due to its links to the popular children's program Hey Dougie. Squirrels wear a red sweatshirt uniform and meet in drays organized within scout groups. The initial 200 drays were targeted to areas previously underserved by the organization, including diverse areas and those comprising a high number of low-income households. The organization consists of between just 300 and 500 members, called the Council in its incorporating charter. The majority of the Council are elected by the Council itself, with the Council or its board also appointing all its officers and all commissioner members. Even those nominated by Scout counties to the Council require previous appointment to their positions or approval by the Council's board or officers appointed by the board. The Council elects a board, called the Board of Trustees and formerly called the Committee of the Council, which manages the organization, determines its policy, organization, and rules, nominates members of the Council and makes all appointments within the organization. Patron, officers, and paid staff. King Charles III is patron of the organization. Its joint presidents are the Duke of Kent and the Princess of Wales. The council elects the organization's chief scout. The organization's longest-serving chief scout after Lord Baden-Powell, Bear Grylls, announced he would be leaving the role in September 2024. The organization's chief commissioner, currently Carl Hankinson, acts as its deputy chief scout and appoints a team of commissioners who are responsible for programs in their respective fields. The board employ paid staff to implement their directions and policies. The chief executive, currently vacant due to the resignation of Matt Hyde, manages the work of the headquarters staff. In 2014, the organization created the roles of Youth Commissioner and Deputy Youth Commissioner to work with the national leadership team to advocate on behalf of youth participants. In September 2024, it was announced that Dwayne Fields would succeed Grylls as Chief Scout. The organization is divided into national groupings for England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. While the organization in England is managed directly by the UK headquarters, each of the other nations has its own organization council and administration. Each of national divisions is further broken up into local counties for England and Northern Ireland, areas for Wales, regions for Scotland and a bailiwick in the case of Guernsey, which generally follow the boundaries of ceremonial counties. The county/area/region are usually broken down further into a number of scout districts which usually cover a town, some or all of a city or a section of a larger region such as the New Forest. These districts are made up of several scout groups. Scout groups are local scout organizations registered with the organization, and some are the direct descendants of the original scout patrols and scout troops. Groups can consist of one or more squirrel drays, beaver colonies, cub packs, and scout troops, and may also have one or more scout active support units, or an explorer scout unit attached to it. Scout groups only manage the first three sections, with explorer scouts and scout networks managed by the scout district. Scout groups are led by volunteers. There's a volunteer group scout leader, whose main role is handling communication between the local district and the section leaders. They also help to make sure that the scout group meets the minimum standard required by the organization. Commissioners and committees. At all levels, the organization is managed by committees, referred to as trustee boards and previously as executive committees. The roles of committees are distinct from the roles of volunteers such as group and section leaders. Scout group committees include the group leader and section leaders. All Scout adult volunteers, such as section leaders, are unpaid. There are around 120,000 adult volunteers. In addition to this number, the organization employs 198 full-time and part-time staff to support the work of its adult volunteers. Senior volunteers in the organization are called commissioners. Every county/area/region and district is headed by a commissioner who is responsible for ensuring the districts/groups under their jurisdiction meet the standards set by the organization. They receive support from growth and development officers in England, who are employed by the regional services team and deployed locally to help support the organization's objectives. Commissioners in the other nations receive support from field commissioners, employed and directed differently. District commissioners report to the county/area/regional commissioner, who in turn report to the UK Chief Commissioner. The organization has 6 age programs to cater for youth aged between 4 and 25 years of age. The core 5 sections, Squirrels to Explorers, are each led by a section leader and aided by assistant leaders, sectional assistants, parent helpers, and young leaders, who are explorer scouts trained in leadership techniques. Scout networks are mainly participant-led but are assisted by a network commissioner who ensures that the network is working within the rules of the organization. In addition to adult leadership, the organization encourages its participants themselves to take on positions of responsibility for their section meetings. This can be through responsibility for a group, such as the patrol leader and assistant patrol leader in Scouts and Sixers and Seconders in Cubs, or through sectional forums to feedback on programs. The Scout section also have the role of senior patrol leader, usually someone about to move on to Explorers who overlooks all the patrols, and Explorers are openly encouraged to run evenings and to plan their own meetings. Some scout groups offer special scouting programs called Air Scouts and Sea Scouts. Both programs follow the same core program in all sections but can add more aeronautical or nautical emphasis, with some scout troops or explorer scout units choosing to seek to be recognized by the Royal Air Force or Royal Navy. In the United Kingdom there are approximately 400 Sea Scout groups, of which about 25%, 101 groups, are Royal Navy recognized, whilst of 117 Air Scout groups, 43 are recognized by the RAF. The number of troops or units that can be recognized in either scheme is strictly limited and recognition is only awarded to those which meet the requirements and pass an inspection by a service officer. Recognized troops or units are inspected biennially and only retain their recognized status if they have continued to meet the required standards. Adult roles and appointments. The organization's patron was the late Queen Elizabeth II. The organization's current joint presidents are the Duke of Kent and Princess of Wales. Below these are the officials of the organization's headquarters, including the organization's chief scout, who is honorary head of the organization and its public face, and its chief commissioner, who is in charge of the volunteers in the organization and of the other commissioners. Below these are the commissioners for the nations, regions, counties, areas, and districts, all of whom are assisted by deputies and assistant commissioners who can oversee and advise on a particular area of responsibility. For example, an assistant district commissioner for Beavers particularly ensures that that section in the district is abiding to the organization's rules. The final managerial role in the organization is that of the group scout leader and their deputy, who are both in charge of a local scout group. All of these roles are uniformed, and for those volunteer roles from county level downwards training is required in the basic values of the organization: safety and child protection, safeguarding, inclusion and advanced managerial skills to achieve their wood badge. At the local sectional level, a section is run by a leader, who is in overall charge of the section, and by assistant leaders, who assist the leader in their role. These roles are uniformed and also require training to achieve their wood badge, although their training content consists of the basic values of the organization: inclusion, camping, and scout skills and administration. They are also required to complete first aid, safety, and child protection training every 3 years. Below leaders are the uniformed role of sectional assistant and the non-uniformed role of occasional helper. The sectional assistant has to complete basic training consisting of the values of the organization, safety, and child protection only, while an occasional helper is a non-uniformed role and requires only to have a criminal records check by the Disclosure and Barring Service. In addition, there are young leaders who must complete training in child protection and safety and then have the option to complete further modules on topics that mirror the adult training program. Adults can also join Scout active support units that provide a variety of services to the organization at group, district, county/area or national level. These units allow adults to support organizations' activities without having the full-time commitment of a leadership role. Safeguarding guidance is issued in the form of a yellow card, which all adults within the movement must follow. The yellow card was revised in January 2024 with the requirement that any safeguarding concern must now be reported directly to the organization's head office. The youth program has been developed and expanded from Baden-Powell's original Scout training scheme, which aimed to encourage personal achievement and provide a framework for the activities of the Scout troop. In the Boy Scout section, this consisted of the award of badges for Tenderfoot, second and first class Scout, and finally King's Scout, which were earned by passing tests in a wide variety of skills associated with the outdoors, health and good citizenship. With the creation of the Wolf Cub section in 1916, a similar system was devised, the awards being Tender Pad, First Star and Second Star, and an award called the Leaping Wolf was added later, which required Cubs to move up to the Scout troop. In parallel with this scheme, Cubs and Scouts were able to earn proficiency badges for specific skills and hobbies, an idea that Baden-Powell probably copied from Ernest Thompson Seton. The test requirements for Baden-Powell's scheme were revised in 1944 and again in 1958 without altering the basic structure. The 1966 Advance Party Report recommended a wholly new progressive training scheme, for Cubs the Bronze, Silver, and Gold Arrows, for Scouts the Scout Standard, Advanced Scout Standard and Chief Scouts Award, and for the new Venture Scout section, the Venture Award and the Queen's Scout Award, which focused on long-term service and commitment as well as the completion of an expedition lasting 4 days and 50 miles. These changes were implemented in October 1967. From then on, the program has been subject to regular revision. The Scout Standards were replaced in 1984 by the Scout Award, Pathfinder Award, and Explorer Award with a fully revised Chief Scouts Award. The Cub Arrows were replaced in 1991 with the Cub Award, Adventure Award, and Adventure Crest Award. All these awards were replaced following the introduction of the program review in February 2002. A new concept called the Balanced Program replaced the previous scheme. Challenge awards could be earned by participating in activities in various program zones such as outdoors, fitness, community, or international. Earning a certain number of challenge awards and the completion of a personal challenge led to the Bronze Chief Scouts Award for Beavers, Silver for Cubs, and Gold for Scouts. Proficiency badges were revised and renamed Activity Badges. 112 in 2015, the program was revised again following consultation within the organization, the changes being called the Program Refresh. Award Scheme. The previous program zones have been replaced by 3 themes, being Outdoor and Adventure, World, and Skills. It is recommended for all sections that about 50% of the program be devoted to outdoor and adventure skills and activities. The structure of Challenge Badges and Chief Scouts Awards has been retained, but the content has been revised and made more challenging. Beavers have to earn 6 Challenge Badges to gain the Bronze Chief Scouts Award, Cubs 7 for the Silver, and Scouts 9 for the Gold. The final 3 awards, the Chief Scouts Platinum and Diamond Awards and the King's Scout Award, are available in the Explorer Scout and Scout Network sections. These 3 awards build on the requirements of the Duke of Edinburgh's award at bronze, silver, and gold level respectively, consisting of a period of time volunteering in the local community, a prolonged physical activity, the advancement of a skill, and the undertaking an expedition, allowing a participant to achieve both the DOFE and the Scout Award at the same time. In addition, these 3 awards do not have to be completed in order, and participants can skip straight to a specific award, although additional work is involved. Achieving the King's Scout Award is seen as a significant event on a national scale. Recipients of the award are invited to join the St. George's Day service at Windsor Castle the year after completing the scheme, and parade before the King or his representative. Awards for gallantry, meritorious conduct, and good service. The Cornwall Scout Badge may be awarded to youths who display preeminently high character and devotion to duty, together with great courage and endurance. Anyone registered with the organization may be awarded the Gilt Cross or the Silver Cross for gallantry, or the Bronze Cross for special heroism or action in the face of extraordinary risk. The Chief Scout's Commendation for meritorious conduct and the Medal of Meritorious Conduct may also be awarded to any registered participant. Adult leaders and supporters are awarded the Chief Scout's Length of Service Award, which marks the number of years of service in any role. More distinguished good service by an adult may be marked by the award of a Commendation Award, formerly known as a Commissioner's Commendation Award, the Chief Scout's Commendation for Good Service, the Award for Merit, the Silver Acorn, or ultimately, the Silver Wolf, which is the unrestricted gift of the Chief Scout and is awarded for service of a most exceptional nature. Promise and Law. Variation of a Scout promise are made by all participants of the organization from the Scout section upwards, including leaders, with variations for different faiths or for participants from other countries, whose allegiance is pledged to the country and not the monarch. On my honor, I promise that I will do my best to do my duty to God and to the King, to help other people, and to keep the Scout law. For squirrels, beavers, and cubs, a simpler promise is used. Cubs utilize the normal promise with the omission of the opening "on my honor" and a change in the final line to keep the cub law, while beavers and squirrels use a different promise altogether. I promise to do my best, to be kind and helpful, and to love God. In addition to the promise, there is a Scout law which dictates what qualities a Scout should hold. The Scout law is as follows. 1. A Scout is to be trusted. 2. A Scout is loyal. 3. A Scout is friendly and considerate. 4. A Scout belongs to the worldwide family of Scouts. 5. A Scout has courage in all difficulties. 6. A Scout makes good use of time and is careful of possessions and property. 7. A Scout has self-respect and respect for others. This law is used for all sections except Cubs, Beavers, and Squirrels. Beavers and Squirrels have no law. The Cub law is different again. Cubs always do their best. Think of others before themselves. And do a good turn every day. The Scout motto, used by the organization as with many other scouting organizations, is Be Prepared. There are permitted variations to the original Scout promise to accommodate those whose faith or national allegiance are different. The organization expects that the phrases, duty to God and, to love God will be suitable for most faiths including Christians, Hindus, Jews, Muslims, and Sikhs. Muslims who have difficulty with the phrase on my honor because of the Islamic proscription of swearing oaths, are able to say in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Instead, if they prefer. Also, duty to Allah and to the king may be used. Hindus and Buddhists may promise, duty to my Dharma. Foreign nationals resident in the United Kingdom are able to promise to do their duty to God and to the country in which I am now living, although British subjects must include the king in their promise. In 2012, the organization reviewed its fundamentals and launched a consultation to ask its participants whether an alternative version of the Scout promise should be developed for atheists and those unable to make the existing commitment. In 2013, it was announced that the consultation had led to the addition of an alternative promise for humanists and atheists. Taking effect on January 1, 2014, participants can choose to replace duty to God with to uphold our Scout values. The change has been welcomed by representatives of the Church of England, the Roman Catholic Church, the Free Churches Group and the British Humanist Association. The alternative promise takes the following form. On my honor, I promise that I will do my best to uphold our Scout values, to do my duty to the King, to help other people, and to keep the Scout law. In Scouting for Boys, Baden-Powell recommended a distinctive and practical uniform that was very like the uniform worn by my men when I commanded the South African Constabulary. This in turn, seems to have been derived from the dress adopted by Baden-Powell in the Second Matabele War of 1896, influenced by his friend and colleague, Frederick Russell Burnham. 126 The original Boy Scout uniform consisted of a khaki shirt and shorts, a neckerchief, or scarf, campaign hat and a scout staff. At the formation of the Wolf Cub section in 1916, Baden-Powell wanted to make the younger boys totally distinct from the older Boy Scouts. The result was a green woolen jersey, shorts, neckerchief, and a green cricket cap with gold piping. In 1946, the new Senior Scout section were allowed to wear a maroon beret instead of the hat. A green beret became an option for the Boy Scout section in 1954. In 1966, the Advance Party report recommended a total redesign and modernization of the uniform, commenting that there had been much criticism of the Boer War appearance of our uniforms and that the wearing of shorts by members of the movement is one of the most damaging aspects of our present public image. Although the Cub uniform barely changed, retaining short trousers, the Scout section were to wear a long-sleeved dark green shirt and long trousers in a brownish color described as mushroom. Venture Scouts and male Scouters had identical khaki shirts and mushroom trousers, but the neckerchief was replaced by a tie, brown for Venture Scouts and green for Scouters. Female Scouters had a dark green dress and a cap similar to those worn by airline flight attendants at the time. These recommendations were accepted and implemented from October 1967. Later amendments included khaki shirts for female Venture Scouts and Scouters, the abolition of all uniform headgear except Sea Scout caps and Air Scout berets, and black long trousers for Cubs as an option to shorts. A gray sweatshirt was introduced for the new Beavers section in 1986 and a dark green sweatshirt replaced the Cubs knitted jersey. The uniforms of this era would feature on the organization's coat of arms, which features two bearers wearing uniforms of the pre-advance party report and some that were current at the time of the award in 1969. Certificates with the design would remain in use until May 2021. In 2001, following a consultation process within the organization, a new range of uniforms designed by Meg Andrews was launched on Founders Day, February 22. Uniforms. Squirrels' uniform is a red sweatshirt, a neckerchief, and a woggle. Beavers' uniform consists of a turquoise sweatshirt, a neckerchief, and woggle. Uniform options decided on at the group level include navy blue shorts, a gray fleece jacket and a navy blue baseball cap. A navy blue skirt may be worn as a personal choice. Navy blue combat trousers, formally referred to as activity trousers, and a turquoise polo shirt may be worn as activity. Cubs' uniform consists of a dark green sweatshirt, a neckerchief, and a woggle identifying the Cubs' subdivision of a pack. Uniform options decided on at the group level include navy blue shorts, a gray fleece jacket, a navy blue jacket and a navy blue baseball cap. A navy blue skirt may be worn as a personal choice. Navy blue combat trousers and a dark green polo shirt may be worn as activity dress. Scout uniform consists of a teal green long-sleeved shirt or blouse, navy blue combat trousers, or navy blue skirt, group neckerchief, woggle, and a scout belt. Uniform options decided on at the group level include navy blue shorts, a gray fleece jacket, a navy blue jacket and a navy blue baseball cap. Navy blue combat trousers and a teal green polo shirt may be worn as activity dress. Sea Scout uniform is the same as the main Scout uniform except a dark blue jersey and slash or a light blue shirt or blouse are worn. Sea Scouts wear a round seaman's cap with Sea Scout tally band. An additional group option is for a lanyard with a bosun's call. Air Scout uniform is the same as the main Scout uniform except that the shirt/blouse is light blue and a blue-gray beret is worn. As for Scouts, but with a beige shirt or blouse and the Explorer Scout belt may be worn. The optional activity uniform polo shirt is beige. Explorer Sea Scouts wear similar uniforms except that a light blue shirt or blouse, smart navy blue trousers and a round seaman's cap with Explorer Sea Scout tally band or a white-topped officer's peaked cap, depending on group. The lanyard and bosun's call is an option decided at group level. Explorer Air Scouts wear the light blue shirt or blouse, smart navy blue trousers and a blue-gray beret. Explorer Sea Scouts and Air Scouts may wear a blue tie instead of the neckerchief. An additional activity uniform top option for both units is a navy blue sweatshirt. As for Explorer Scouts, but with a shirt of a light khaki color, described as stone which may be short-sleeved. A tie may be worn by all adults and smart trousers may be worn instead of combat trousers. The activity uniform top is a navy blue polo shirt, an optional navy blue sweatshirt or stone-colored polo shirt may be worn instead. Adult leaders in Sea Scout units wear uniforms similar to Sea Scout Explorers except that the only headgear is the officer's hat and an option of a tricorn hat for women. Adult leaders in Air Scout groups wear uniform identical to Air Scout Explorers. All participants in Scotland or those entitled to do so by descent may wear a tartan kilt or skirt. This can be either their own tartan or the Scout tartan pattern, to be worn with a plain leather sporran, green knee-length socks and garter tabs and black shoes. Participants in Northern Ireland or those entitled to do so by descent may wear a saffron kilt or skirt. This should be worn with a plain leather sporran, traditional colored plain socks, black or brown shoes. All participants in a section should wear the same colored socks and shoes. A tailored outer jacket may be worn with either kilt. The organization is a registered charity. The organization's finances are collected through a variety of ways. Participants pay for the organization's programs through an annual capitation or registration fee, and subscriptions to the local group, paid termly, monthly or weekly depending on local preference. The registration fee pays for participant insurance and for the services and leader support provided by their district, country, or equivalent, and headquarters. The national registration fee for 2021 to 22, for all participants under 18, is £36.50, or £36 for prompt payment by April 23, 2021, an increase of £7.50 compared to the 2020 to 21 fee. Of this, £1.50 is a reserved contribution ring-fenced to support any groups who cannot access funding. Subs are used to pay for the day-to-day running of activities, pay for materials and to finance the section's meeting place. To lessen the burden on participants, many groups undertake local fundraising and utilize additional methods of funding, such as gift aid. In addition, headquarters operates several other ventures open to those outside of the organization, the profits of which are returned to the organization. Scout Community Week is a campaign of the organization and its biggest national fundraising event. It is a revival and updated version of the earlier Bob A Job Week, started in 1949, and later Scout Job Week, in which scouts were paid small sums of money for completing usually domestic tasks for local residents. The modern Scout Community Week involves scouts from all sections of the organization taking part in community work in exchange for a donation to the group. Reintroduced in 2012, the event has attracted media attention. The organization operates several ventures that offer an enhancement to its programs but also services consumers outside its programs. The profits are returned to the organization to subsidize the running of the Scout program and to reduce the burden of financing on the participants themselves. The Scout Adventures brand is run directly from within the organization and is responsible for running a network of national activity centers open to the organization's participants and other organizations including schools and other youth groups. Its turnover and profits form part of the charitable activities of the organization and contributed £4.9 million in the year up to March 31, 2020. In addition, the organization owns 100% of the following subsidiary companies which provide trading income to the organization. Scout Shops Ltd. Trading as Scout Store sells the organization's uniforms, equipment, and gifts online and on the high street by supplying local Scout shops run mostly by Scout districts. In the year up to March 31, 2020, it had a turnover of £9.4 million with their taxable profits of £3 million returned to the organization. World Scout Shop Ltd. sells similar merchandise and gifts to the Scout Store but to a global market along with exclusive WOSM items. It was created in 2011 at the 22nd World Scout Jamboree in Sweden and uses the same infrastructure as the Scout Store. In the year up to March 31, 2020, it had a turnover of £500,000 with their taxable profits of £30,000 returned to the organization. Scout Insurance Services Ltd. Trading as Unity Insurance Services is an insurance broker providing insurance solutions tailored to the movement and other charities and similar non-profit organizations including Girl Guiding. In the year up to March 31, 2020, it had a turnover of £2.4 million and a pre-tax profit of £1.2 million. Scout Insurance, Guernsey, Limited acts as the insurance underwriters for the organization and Unity and paid its net profit pre-tax of £200,000 as a dividend to the organization. Scout Services Limited manages the organization's property, runs the conference centers located at Gilwell Park and 65 Queensgate and manages sponsorship and marketing for the organization such as selling advertising space in the Scouting magazine. In the year up to March 31, 2020, it had a turnover of £3.8 million and a pre-tax profit of £700,000. This subsidiary has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic as the organization announced the cessation of the printed Scouting magazine, the closure of the Gilwell Park Conference Centre and the selling of the 65 Queensgate site. Former commercial ventures include the Scout Holiday Homes Trust, which operated 10 properties across the UK catering for those with low incomes or disabilities between 1969 and 2011 when the assets were transferred to the Independent Holiday Homes Trust, which maintains some links with the Scouts. Across the country, Over 900 campsites are owned by the organization, usually they are owned and operated by a scout district or county. These campsites are also used by others outside the organization to gain additional income for the scout county or district. 12 sites are branded and operated as Scout Adventure Centers, providing camping sites and affordable adventurous activities. These are Gilwell Park on the London/Essex border, Buttons in Dorset, Crawfordsburn in County Down, Down in Kent, Fordell Firs in Fife, Great Tower in the Lake District, Hawkhurst in Northumberland, Loch Goilhead on Loch Lomond, Meg Erney in Perthshire, Woodhouse Park in Gloucestershire, Yalbury in Oxfordshire and Yearhafod in Snowdonia. In addition to these sites, the organization historically ran 2 conference centres, one within Gilwell Park, and another at a separate site in central London, Baden-Powell House. Baden-Powell House was an association hostel, that provided cheap accommodation for central London trips. Both these facilities were closed in 2020 due to the financial pressures of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Scout Association and Girl Guiding UK are separate organisations but were both founded by Robert Baden-Powell and share similar aims and methods. Cooperation between the organisation and Girl Guiding UK is encouraged at all levels. Joint groups of Scout and Guide units meeting separately in the same headquarters and operating under the same support structure are recognised and encouraged by both organisations. It is also possible to have a joint unit, which may consist of Rainbow Guides and Beavers, or Brownie Guides and Cubs, or Guides and Scouts. They meet together as a single unit, sharing leadership and facilities, but individual participants wear the uniform and follow the training program of the organization that they belong to. Members of Girl Guiding UK are invited to join the United Kingdom Scout contingent to participate in the World Scout Jamborees every 4 years. The Scout Association of Northern Ireland coexists in the province with Scouting Ireland, which is the world organisation of the Scout movement recognised organisation for the Republic of Ireland. The two organisations have been increasingly working in partnership. They jointly run a project called Scout Link, which delivers citizenship and peace-building programs with a range of groups in Northern Ireland and the border counties of the Republic. The Scout Association is one of more than 2,600 licensed organisations that operate the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme. Scout participation in the scheme started in February 1959, having been unable to join the 1956 experimental launch due to the 1957 Golden Jubilee of Scouting events and the 1958 revision of the Scout Badge program. The organisation has had many notable past participants, with the following selection being the best known. David Attenborough, broadcaster and naturalist. David Beckham, England international footballer and former captain. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Chris Bonington, mountaineer. David Bowie, singer-songwriter, producer and actor. Richard Branson, Virgin Group founder. Ronnie Corbett, actor and comedian who worked with Ronnie Barker in the British television comedy series The Two Ronnies. Bear Grylls, adventurer and television personality and the organization's chief scout. John Major, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Paul McCartney, singer-songwriter-bassist of the Beatles and Wings. John Lennon, singer-songwriter of the Beatles, attended the 3rd Allerton Scout Group in Liverpool. George Michael, singer-songwriter. Cliff Richard, singer. Keith Richards, guitarist and songwriter of the Rolling Stones. Harold Wilson, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Following the origin of Scouting, Scout organisations formed in many parts of the British Empire. Some of these organisations later became branches of the Boy Scouts Association after its formation. In other cases, the Boy Scouts Association started branches itself in parts of British Empire. The Boy Scouts Association's headquarters in London was renamed Imperial Headquarters, IHQ. The Boy Scouts International Bureau was formed in 1920 and became fully functional under the International Conference of the Boy Scout Movement in 1922. Subsequently, the Boy Scouts Association branches in the Dominions of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Newfoundland, and South Africa were given the option of being separately represented with the Boy Scouts International Bureau, but chose instead to remain under IHQ control. Over time, many of the branches of the Scout Association became direct members of the World Organization of the Scout Movement, for instance, Scouts Canada in 1946 and the Scout Association of Hong Kong in 1977. The UK Scout program is also offered to British citizens living outside of the United Kingdom via the British Scouting Overseas, BSO, area. BSO has 4 Scout districts in Southern Europe, Middle East, Northern Europe, and rest of the world, and a total of 55 Scout groups, in 26 countries. British Scouting Overseas was formed, on April 1, 2012, from an amalgamation of the British groups abroad and British Scouts in Western Europe Scout areas. At that point, there were 5 districts in France and Iberia, Middle East, Benelux and Scandinavia, Germany, and rest of the world. Since that point, Benelux and Scandinavia has merged with Germany, to create the Northern Europe district. In June 2021, France and Iberia district transitioned into Southern Europe after the addition of a group in Italy. Thank you for watching this video.